Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission, highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McClain, Tucson's favorite family show.
It gets me every time. It gets me every time. This is the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I am Pastor John McClain, and today, luckily or unluckily, depends how you view it, I don't have a co-host. You have just me, but I'll bring twice the energy, twice the love. I don't have that Harvard graduate here, but I'll talk really smart, use some really big words. And I'll bring, like always, I'll bring some really amazing guests. But this would not be the Common Good Radio Show as usual if I did not give grace to a very loving God that makes this all possible. It makes it so I get to have one of the coolest jobs that I get to do every week in the Common Good Radio Show. And I usually think I'm with the Lord's Prayer that goes a little something like this. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So, all that being said, I think I have probably the exact perfect first guest on the show this week. We've had them on the show a few times, and people that were partners of them on the show, but that group I'm speaking of is For Tucson. I'm blessed to be kind of part of that team as well, and the commander of the For Tucson team is Miss Lakeisha Dion, with the CEO of For Tucson. And thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you. You know what, John? I feel like we need some gospel tracks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember listening to the Lord's Prayer and how I actually memorized it was with a gospel choir singing it. And unfortunately, I can't sing, but I was forced to be in the choir.
Interesting.
But I walked away knowing the Lord's Prayer.
Okay, so that was the takeaway. All that trouble they put you through just to appropriately learn the Lord's Prayer. Yeah. I just had to read it every week for 6 years.
I went to a Lutheran school, so it was kind of beat into us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Lakeisha, introduce our colleague, our teammates, the running back of the For Tucson team.
Yes. So it's amazing because most people kind of mix up what our organization does. They're always looking at us and saying, well, what do you guys do? Who do you serve? And we're like, we serve the city. Well, what do you give the city? Oh, we love on the city. And one of the ways that we get to love on the city is to know deeply about our city, which requires us to research all of the good, bad, and the ugly of our research. And we have been blessed over the last few years to have this young lady, Elizabeth Wilson, who loves research.
Yeah.
You'll say a topic and immediately she's fact checking.
Oh yeah.
Which I love.
Or she just knows it.
She's just recalling it from her brain. And I'm like, wow, that is such a blessing. And sometimes I wish I had that type of memory, but then I thank God, like, no, he gave us Elizabeth Wilson, and she's helped us with a lot of our research on housing, on poverty reduction, on education, on economic opportunity and development. And now we're diving into church as normative. Like, what is it going to take to get people to understand that it's okay to go to church and experience it in that way? And she loves it.
Yeah.
And when she writes a research paper, she's not struggling to write a 3-page, 5-page, 10-page paper. Like, she gets into it. A couple of almost 100. I'm thinking 89 pages at one at one go. You can knock it out. But Elizabeth is here with us today, and she's going to be talking about an amazing program where we gather movement under some of these issues that we are focused on in our city.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. we call her a young lady, but I'm 41, and I feel like she's more mature, more
Yes.
wise, and has a wider knowledge base than I do. So
and can hold her own in
Yeah.
a debate. I love
yeah.
it.
And if you put her ahead of a task and she's the leader on that task, you can follow her lead
Yeah.
comfortably.
Yeah.
So it's
Thank
it's
you,
definitely
guys.
been a blessing working with her. And I'll segue that to you have a big event coming up real soon,
Yes,
and
we do.
I've been lucky to help kind of with the marketing approach on that, and hopefully this is part of getting the word out about that upcoming event. But I'll let you speak to it. I won't ruin it.
Sure. So we have our Movement Day event coming up on February 7th, Friday, February 7th at 9. From 9 to 2, we are at Grace to the Nations, and we are going to be taking a look at, Movement Day is really about getting people in the room and talking about where is God moving in our city and how can we help our Christian community jump on board with where God's already moving.
Mhm.
And so Movement Day is a worldwide organization that we're privileged to be part of here and have our own iteration here at Movement Day Tucson.
Mm.
And, we this year are kind of going back to some foundational things of our tagline at Fort Tucson is biblically transform your city. And so we are bringing in one of our partners, Eric Swanson, and he is just a leader in this space in the country, in the world, really, about what does it mean to practically do biblical city transformation. What does that look like?
Mhm.
What do we define by that? How do our colleagues in the Christian community get on board with that? All of that good stuff. And then hearing from some of our local leaders, Lakeisha is going to be one of them, Dave Drum at J17 Ministries, Jennifer Tompkins out of Casas, and then Liz Morales, who's one of our assistant city managers. And they're just going to be talking about how they take their personal calling from the Lord to help minister to our city through their ministries, and also in Liz's case in the government office that she's privileged to be part of. So it's just we're excited to have this event come together and talk about what is biblical city transformation, how are some of our partners doing that already, and how can you as part of the Christian community jump on board with that, and how do you fit into this picture that we're all part of? So
that's awesome.
we're
And it's
very
like
excited about it.
Such like a powerhouse group,
Yeah.
obviously Lakeisha, she's a powerhouse in her own, but Liz Morales, Dave Drum, I mean, you really, Eric,
Swanson.
yeah, Swanson.
Yes.
Those are all some really big names that are going to be there to kind of to lead this conversation and kind of and lead this movement, all pun intended, of Movement Day. Talk about how Movement Day, in conjunction with a series of events that Fort Tucson is part of, is in line with that mission that is Fort Tucson, and in kind of what is the goal of Fort Tucson moving forward into the 2025.
Yeah, so we've been in this research space, relationship building space for a while, and now we're really activating this collaboration space. And how can we bring together real collaborations around issues that we're all passionate about? So we had a great gathering in October of people passionate about housing and helping our unhoused neighbors, and how do we possibly do something as a Christian community, whether that be a tiny home village or talking about building attainable housing on church property. How can we come together to really make that happen? And now that conversation is ongoing. Now that we have the research and we've established the relationships, now we're moving into let's get some action. So we're going to be talking about why we love our city. It's Movement Day for God So Loved Tucson, because when we have value in our city, then we can make change. If we value the good, then we put stock behind that, and we can really bring our best efforts forth.
Nice.
So,
and we got about 30 seconds till we jump out of here, but for people who want to help or support or be part of Movement Day, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can go ahead and go on to fortucson.com and our events calendar. There's a upcoming event. If you scroll through to February, there's a block that will tell you about Movement Day, how to register. Any of our social medias right now, if you scroll anywhere on our feeds, you can find something about it.
Nice.
And get registered, learn more information, find it on our blog. We have some deeper dives into who's going to be there and what we're going to talk about.
Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth. And Lakeisha, one last time, for people who want to be involved with Fort Tucson or figure out, what we're about, how can they do that?
Yeah, if you want to be part of uniting with others and actually mobilizing and doing things within our city that's going to help transform it for the good, go to fortucson.com. You can also give us a call at 520-745-7404. I think
Awesome.
that's right.
4404 is the last one.
4404. Thank you.
Yeah, we did that on purpose so you guys would remember it. Well, thank you so much, Lakeisha Dion and Elizabeth Wilson with
And
Fort
thank you.
Tucson for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is the Common Good Radio Show brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Pastor John McClain. We want to thank our sponsors, Proper Villains, Fort Tucson, We Care Tucson, 100 Plus Guys, Tucson Tamale, Desert Sunset Realty, White Stallion, Piper Family Painting, Steamy Concepts, Donso Dust Landscape, but I'm not going to be able to say these all. We'll say them after the break. We'll be back.
The Common Good Radio Show. The Common Good Radio Show. Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McClain, Tucson's favorite family show.
Yes, indeed. We are back. This is the Common Good Radio Show brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I am Pastor John McClain, the founder of Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm honored to say. If you are a homeless veteran that is looking to get connected with housing or get connected with benefits, or just if you're a veteran that needs assistance with getting connected with benefits, give us a call, 520-329-9192. You can also go to veteranrescuemission.org and find out information there. But that aside, we have an amazing guest here today. Actually, somebody that likely, if you are a veteran or a military member and you're married, or you are in a relationship romantically with an individual, you could probably utilize his services. And I got the good fortune of meeting him and getting to peruse his book just recently. And his name is Paul Zohov, and he is with Marriage and Communication. And thank you for being here with us, Paul.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for those who whenever they hear about marriage, marriage counseling or anything kind of in this vein, just aren't sure what to think. How do you come to be a marriage and communication coach, and how does somebody, connect with you?
Well, I started out about 30 plus years ago as a domestic violence counselor. And after a while, teaching classes for perpetrators of domestic violence and abuse, I decided I'd rather prevent it than treat it after the damage has already been done. And I began my path to marriage and communication coaching here in Tucson, Arizona.
Interesting. And how long ago was that?
10 years in Tucson.
Okay.
And I also became a professional chaplain along the way.
Nice. Okay. And so a question I'd definitely like to ask, with any organization, what have been some of the highlights that you've been able to have seen with this organization over the years?
Well, I've seen about 2,000 to 3,000 couples in the last 10 years here in Tucson. And they walk in the door because they have to. They come back for the second session because they get to. Making a distinction here, because most people live a have to, need to, should, and must life, or else. And when we notice that, we can notice that we live a life given by obligations and circumstances, not by choice. So what we get to do is swap an O for an E. You have a get to life. Get to life is by choice. Opportunity, possibility, you're the driver. All these things are not available when you're living a life driven by obligations and circumstances. So you get to go. Children get to do the homework. You get to go to work.
Mhm.
It's really quite a remarkable shift. Only 2 vowels.
Yeah, I can dig it. I get to do this show every week, so
Exactly.
Yeah, that's I can. I'm not opposed to that type of thinking. So what would you say are like 2 or 3 other key communication skills that people can take away and apply in their everyday life? And I don't want you to give away all the secret spices, but just a couple 3 of them.
Well, they're welcome to buy my book,
Yeah, absolutely.
Marriage and Communication Recipes for Life. But the top 3 recipes is starting with begin your sentence with yes and.
Hmm.
What does this do? There are 4 blessings, 4 gifts. When you say yes, you've established a connection.
Mm-hmm.
You're not reacting, you're responding. Reaction good. When your light turns red, I don't want you to think about it, I want you to stop.
Mm-hmm.
2, they know they've been heard. 3, we've established a relationship. So with yes and, the and allows us to choose our words next.
Mm-hmm.
But it's easier to be heard when you have a connection, when they know they've been heard, and you're using your intelligence by responding. So yes and is far stronger than the same sentence without.
Mm-hmm.
You could say, how about we talk about our finances? Or you could say, yes, let's talk about our finances. The whole different conversation if you start with a yes,
Mm-hmm.
a connection. They know you're listening. Second skill is we get to understand that we speak declaratively.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I'm speaking declaratively,
Mm-hmm.
and in your mind, you're going, is it good? Is it bad? Is it right? Is it wrong? Do I agree or disagree?
Mm-hmm.
Automatically. Seek to evaluate what I said to you as if it's good, bad, right, wrong, agree, or disagree. And if what I say to you doesn't match what you believe, intend, or remember, we'll stop listening, we will stop communicating,
Mm.
and we'll start arguing about whose truth is truer, whose reality is most real, and who's right and who's wrong.
Mm.
And for that, we need the word seems. Seems to me we bring up the past. Seems to me we've never discussed that.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to me that we usually get entangled whenever we try to talk about X. Seems will get you discussion, where a truth will get you a no and a but in an argument.
Mm.
So we have yes and seems, and even and can stand by itself. How about we go to Chinese food tonight? I don't know if I'm interested in that. And, or how about we try something we've never done before? I'm not sure I'm up to that. And, with a rising inflection.
Mm.
Same thing with the word no. Someone says no, you go, and. A no by itself can break us. A no with an and connects us.
Mm.
This is, by the way, points to one of my main points, is that I want our teenagers to have a yes and an and a seems.
Mm.
Because teenagers feel obligated to say yes when they really don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
They feel they want to belong, they want to be accepted, they want to be popular, they want to be in love. Their body's militating for pregnancy, and their friend comes up with a bad idea. And why do they be stuck saying yes when they want to say no?
Mm-hmm.
Once we teach them yes, ands, and seems in our high schools, for example, they'd say, yes, I'm not sure I want to do that. Yes means establishes the connection, while the and lets them steer. Yes, and let's look at that together. Yes, and I'm not sure comfortable with that. So yes, and seems is the first place we go for communication.
Mm.
It connects us. We have a relationship. I am listening to you, and we take it from there.
Mm-hmm. As you're saying this, particularly with the 3 skills, speak more to what people can find within the book. Just as if, given your own kind of Cliff Notes version of what they would read if they were to grab that book.
Well, you just heard the first three recipes right now.
Mhm.
Yes, and seems. Seems helps us be connected.
Mm-hmm.
The book is not a book to be read cover to cover.
Mm.
It is a set of 16 recipes.
Mm.
Because most people just want to know how to do it. Don't worry with the details.
Mm-hmm.
So every recipe starts with the recipe. For example, we want to avoid always, every, never, and all. You say, oh, you always, or we always, or I always. Their mind is going to stop listening and start evaluating, is it true or is it not true? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it right? Is it wrong? So for that, we use the word tends to. That's the fourth recipe. It's one
Interesting.
line long.
Well, I don't want you to give away all the recipes, but I want you to give us the name of the book, and then we're going to steer to, for people that can utilize your services, what they look like and how they can do that. But first, the name of the book and how people can find it.
It's Marriage and Communication, Recipes for Life.
Okay. That's easy enough.
Easy to read, a lot of place to take notes.
And where can people find it?
You can find it on Amazon.
Okay.
Marriage and Communication, Recipes for Life.
Nice. And then for people that want to utilize your services, what does that perfect John Q. Public client look like, and how can they do that?
Well, first you can reach out and contact me through marriageandcommunication.com
Okay.
or call me 520-297-3085. My people come to me are premarital.
Mhm.
I love it when they come because they haven't got married and made mistakes yet, hopefully. Young families with young children, a high stress environment, and they need communication even more than ever before. Empty nesters. And then there's people who are in retirement. I see people from 17 to 87 years old.
Nice. Well, Paul, thank you so much for joining us in studio. And one last time, tell people how they can get a hold of you.
You can catch me at 520-297-3085 for the fastest response, or hit the contact button at marriageandcommunication.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us.
Very happy to be here. I just love this. I get up every day to do this.
Awesome.
I get to.
Yeah, we get to do it. This is a Common Good Radio Show brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Pastor John McClain. We want to thank our sponsors, Proper Villains, For Tucson, We Care Tucson, 100 Plus Guys Who Give, Tucson Tamale Company, Desert Sunset Realty, Whitestein Ranch, Piper Family Painting, Steamy Concepts, Sounds of Dust Landscaping, Arizona Choice Home Care, Paul Zohoff, Marriage and Communications, CB2PGA, and Pep Inc. We'll have all that and more for you next week. But remember, at the end of every day, it's night.